Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about a video from a continued series from the past, which is about the anxious preoccupied attachment style and limerence. And so this topic is something I've seen quite a bit. I have done a video series around this so far, but I sort of did like the anxious side of fearful avoidant before, so I wasn't going to go in and do the anxious right away in case it was a little bit too repetitive. But what I've done is actually gone through and talked a little bit more about root causes and organized this video in a way that it'll present a little bit differently. So you get some new information, different strategies, a deeper understanding of where this is coming from, and also a little bit about what to do about this specifically. So first and foremost, limerence is basically obsessive infatuation with somebody, okay? So that's like the simplest way I can put it. It's this concept or idea that you have a crush on somebody, but like it's not a crush, it's not feelings, it's sort of magnified by like 10 times. And while there's not an actual number to research and say this is the amount of times it's actually magnified by, what I can tell you is that the impact it has can be somewhat destructive or destabilizing for a person. So you might see symptoms of limerence as being things like somebody can't stop thinking about a person, it interferes with their productivity, it's distracting, they have trouble eating, they have trouble sleeping, they might even go so far as to dream about the person, and basically it's like an addiction in your mind, right? Now, the reason for this and the reason this can take place is because your brain gets its needs met in the present through physically doing things, but it also gets its needs met in its fantasies of the future and its memories of the past. And the way that it gets its needs met in these things or in these areas is because in that movie you play out in your mind when you're thinking about somebody, right? You're actually eliciting neurochemical reactions and emotions. And so your brain, which has a very difficult time as a general rule, seriously telling the difference between what's real and what's imagined, can fantasize about a person and it can get needs met and you can get somewhat addicted to that fantasy of that person. And so you can think of this as being like sort of an addictive thing. And some other symptoms you'll see with somebody experiencing limerence is they might feel frustrated when somebody interrupts their fantasy, like asks them to do something. You might see them constantly like checking somebody on social media. And then we can get the more extreme versions of this, sort of on this spectrum, where we can see somebody actually go so far as to like stalk the person, drive by their house, show up in places they think this person will be. And it's basically like, you know, it can get extreme all the way to like actual stalker behavior. And so I want you to think of limerence as being like this addiction. And I want us to think of addiction as being always a signpost of trauma. And so, you know, when I have a course on addiction inside the personal development school, and we like super deep dive into like addictive pattern reprogramming and the subconscious mind. And one of the very forefrontal sort of principles in this course is that the issue isn't the issue. And what this means is like, if you are struggling with addiction, let's say you're addicted to alcohol. So you're an alcoholic. And the alcohol isn't the problem because alcohol is in so many other people's hands every day or in people's houses. And some people don't drink at all despite there being alcohol. Or some people can drink alcohol casually and it's totally fine and they never think about it. But so it's not the substance or the issue that's the issue. The issue is actually that there is some kind of intense void or fragmented part that's basically the result of trauma at the subconscious level. And the mind doesn't have a more healthy or effective strategy to fill that void. And so it uses these things unconsciously. One of them being the fantasy of a person that you can become addicted to if you're experiencing limerence. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to identify very specifically what that void is made up of so you can have some ideas of what to do about it. And if anybody here is struggling with limerence, I want to tell you a couple key things. Number one, most attachment styles who are insecure do struggle with limerence at some point in their life. And you may not realize that it's limerence. You might think, oh, I just get really strong feelings really fast. Or, oh, I just, really, really care about this person and like this person. And I don't mean like limerence is something when you're in the honeymoon phase of a relationship and the neurochemicals are high and there's not that natural sort of counterpart there. I mean like this can be even unrequited love to a certain degree. This can be that you're in a relationship or in your mind, so to speak, and not like in a crazy way, but you're just fantasizing and fantasizing about the future with somebody who you may not even have confirmation feels the same way about you back. And this is when we get into this territory where like you may not realize it because it's so societally accepted and positively reinforced, but it can actually be like a huge distracting mechanism in life. And it becomes especially that when your mind, instead of doing productive things to work on yourself, to work on the expansion of your dreams, to create what you want to create, to build the healthy relationships that do exist in your life, instead of doing those things that truly promote well-being overall in the 7 areas of your life in the present, you're always living in that fantasy space, going from like one limerence to another limerence to another limerence in your life. And so this is where I want to really hone in and put some strategies together and sort of touch base around this. So as I dive into this, I forgot to mention really quick, we are doing a COVID stay-at-home help the economy sale. Not help the economy, help people because of what's going on in the economy sale. Basically until all this stuff is like back to normal. I know that things are starting to slowly open back up, which is great news. But I also know that there's been some financial challenges and stuff for people. So we are offering scholarships inside of the school. You can reach out to my team at info@personaldevelopmentschool.com to learn more about that and ask for different scholarship options that are available. And we also have basically this open offer that we're giving, which is 25% off of membership bundles, so 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, etc., as well as individual course purchases. And the coupon code is with you, all one word. So check that out. I'll put like a little click button on the screen here for you if you're interested in going straight there. So what are the symptoms of limerence? We've talked about them. What are the underlying causes that are creating limerence and the symptoms that are accompanying it? One of the biggest root causes is not knowing yourself properly. And this is normal when like you've gone through life, you've been programmed as an anxious, preoccupied attachment style because of the fact that like you've learned to soothe through other people. And so you latch on to other people at the subconscious level, hoping that they'll stay close. And you've made this deep subconscious association between connection and safety. That, for that matter, no other attachment style has made. Okay? Dismissive avoidance don't see safety equaling connection. They don't at all. In fact, they see sort of the opposite. Fearful avoidance do not see that either. They're constantly in a state of hypervigilance and distrust. And so they can have like a deep appreciation for connection and sort of, you know, the oxytocin and feel-good neurochemicals coming from connection. And they really value it, but they don't think it's safe. But anxious, preoccupied attachment styles have that programmed association at the subconscious level, which is one of the differentiating factors. If you're trying to decide if you're fearful avoidant with an anxious side and you're like leaning anxious in your attachment style, or if you're just purely anxious, preoccupied. Purely anxious, preoccupied literally feel unsafe when they don't have consistent, close connection in their lives. And this is because you didn't have in different points throughout your life the ability to learn how to break off completely, become super independent and self-soothe. And you also have these limiting beliefs like I'm not good enough, so I have to win approval. It's easy to be abandoned emotionally or physically at any point in time. And so you'll have these sort of like deeply programmed associations there that can be very strong. Okay. So one of the biggest things is like when you are conditioned to be so externally focused on other people, one of the primary casualties in that process becomes the relationship to yourself. And so when you don't know yourself completely, and I mean know yourself, not like know your likes and dislikes. I mean like know your fears, know what's bothering you on a daily basis, understand why it's bothering you, self-reflect on a daily basis so that you are aware in real time throughout the course of your day of your feelings, of your needs, of the painful narratives or stories you create about your circumstances that are the result of limiting beliefs or old traumas, and be aware of like how to question and work through these things in real time. So you're literally in relationship to self. And we also should know, really, truly, we should know our desires, our dreams, the things that motivate or inspire us naturally. We should have some sort of awareness about what we think about a lot, what's always on our mind, what our priorities are in life, what our values and morals are. All of these things constitute as being in relationship to self. And without that, here's what happens instead. You have a void within you at a subconscious level. That void creates this desire. That desire creates a need to like reach outside of yourself to try to get those needs met from others. Outside of yourself is the most unstable place you'll ever actually get those needs met. And so then you constantly are faced with this like unpredictable void, which usually keeps looping back in this sort of vicious cycle where it's like, I feel a void of deep connection because I'm disconnected from myself. Let's pretend I'm the anxious attachment person. it causes me to hyper seek out attachment outside of me. Sometimes people can't always be there because it's just not possible that people are always available. And then that makes me feel an even greater void, which then feeds this greater disconnect from myself because I keep hyper focusing outside of myself to desperately get those needs met. So it becomes cyclical. And the result of this, or at least one of the things that can deeply result from it, is that the moment somebody comes along and makes you feel good enough, seen, heard, understood, valued, wanted, like you have a sense of belonging, inclusion, safe, all of these things that are voids within the anxious preoccupied attachment style's natural dynamic and programming. When somebody meets those, you get addicted to them. And therein lies your limerence, right? That's where your brain's like, oh my gosh, this person fills all these voids at the same time. And then as a result of this, the mind also places subconscious expectations that better not change because that person is the source. It's like the way the brain, like when somebody's addicted, let's say they're addicted to a substance, it's like the chasing the dragon mechanism where you get addicted to the substance and you're always seeking that same high. And this is what happens with limerence. You get that connection to somebody, even if the person isn't like in a relationship with you, even if they just make you feel really seen in a certain way or really understood, or they compliment you and make you feel really significant or wanted or good enough. If basically the degree to which those voids exist will be inversely correlated with the degree to which you attach and the mind like tries to hold on and can easily form that sort of addictive like bond. So if you're experiencing limerence, it's a sign that you have voids within your subconscious and things that need to be healed. And this is where you want to start breaking through those limiting beliefs that you're carrying about this, the story of yourself in the first place. And you also want to start meeting those needs that are not being met in your life, obviously, because there's a void there to begin with, okay? And the more we have a lack, the more we crave that wholeness, okay? And so you want to look at, like, what are the needs that are being met through limerence outside of me here, and how can I start meeting these needs for myself in my life? And the main message I want to give here, because there's other parts, there's also like traits that you perceive in others, and your brain seeks a sense of wholeness through qualities in others that it admires or infatuates with because it's repressed within itself, and there's that sense of wholeness there. But the number one focus for the anxious preoccupied attachment style individual specifically should be getting to know yourself. And so inside the school, we have like a whole bunch of, in the anxious preoccupied attachment style course, we have a whole section about like daily self-reflection questions, healthy habits to be in relationship to yourself, and like all of these structures to help you really get to know yourself. And if you're at a point right now where you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that stuff, create these things for yourself. Put some self-reflection questions for yourself about your fears, your needs, your desires, your future, what you want, where you're at in the 7 areas of life, what you want to expand upon, what limiting beliefs you're carrying, how you can change and how you can change them, what needs you have in the different areas of your life and from different people. And the more you can like start to just self-reflect on a regular basis, I would really equate this to like when you're dating somebody new in your life or you're meeting a new friend. It's like, to really love that person and also to trust that person, you have to really know them. You have to understand these things about them. And as a general rule, the more you know somebody, the more you start to trust them, the more you start to love and care for them. And the same thing applies in the relationship to yourselves. So I hope this is helpful. This is such an important thing for anxious preoccupied individuals specifically, more than any other attachment style, as well as touching on, the association between connection and safety, and really being able to find that safety within the relationship to yourselves. Because if you can reprogram that, the direct impact of that is that you are not going to get into a space in your relationships where if somebody's missing or somebody can't show up right away, or there's a change in somebody's pattern or something has shifted in a relationship, you don't have to panic. You won't feel that panic because you're not equating at a subconscious level. And I know the panic, the panic I'm talking about. It's like that panic in your body where it feels like anxiety and it feels like you can't like breathe, or you feel like that burning sensation in your torso and it's like really intense. That goes away the moment you've broken that concept or idea that says connection equals safety. That person's my connection, and so that person equals my safety. And if they're away for the weekend or there's something that could come between us, it means I lose my connection and my safety. That feeling you're feeling, that anxiety, is because you actually have like a fight or flight survival mechanism tripped because you feel like you're actually physically unsafe. So that's maybe a topic or a longer video for another time. But I hope this is all helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching, for being here. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate our community. And if there's anything you need from me or anything else you want me to share, please put video ideas or things that you really want to see in the comments below. And thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the video tomorrow.